Hey, what is up, guys? So I got a very interesting deck profile for you guys today. It got first place in the Sakura Card Flip Tournament in the 9th of June over in OCG land. It's a pretty awesome idea as far as a take on heroes. It's got a lot of hate for the tier 1 decks in the main deck, and that is always fun to see. There's actually 2 cards I want to mention that are not actually out yet, so if you're interested in building this deck in real life, you're going to have to wait for 2 of those cards, although you can get away without playing the Beast Lord Vulcan, but Master Key Beetle is really required for the deck because of Eradicator Epidemic Virus. But this deck is pretty cool. It's an emergency. It's like a teleport, hero lives, very anti-meta. But that said, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile, and we'll explain some of the choices and the combos as we go along. So first off, we got one Zephyros, the Elite, and he's really good because, you know, he just special summons himself, great for more rank 4s, but this guy actually main decks 2 Prohibition and 2 Imperial Iron Wall, as well as an anti-spell fragrance. So, you know, you don't always have to bounce back your monsters. You can bounce back, you know, some cards. Maybe you call Prohibition and you declare 1 card name, and you don't want your opponent to have Heavy Storm, for example. Next up, maybe you want to use Heavy Storm. You go ahead and activate Zephyros' effect, bounce back that Prohibition, then Heavy Storm them, then activate Prohibition once again. It's just a very dirty way to play, especially with you know, something like Imperial Iron Wall. You know, you got your Miracle Fusions, you got Zephyros in the grave. Just bounce back that Imperial Iron Wall, do your special summoning with the Miracle Fusion, then set Imperial Iron Wall again. Very dirty against Elemental Dragons as well as Spellbooks. But next up, he's playing 1 Dark Harm Dragon just because there's a bunch of darks. This deck is really fast. That's the goal of, you know, this deck. It's kind of a fast OTK variant. So Dark Harm just helps push through, you know, for game. Then we're playing 3 Dark Greffers in here. That's an interesting tech choice. First, I was like, well, he's only got 3 targets, so you can special summon Greffer. However, you're not going to be using that effect of Greffer very often. I mean, if you have Mally, by all means, go ahead and do that. But generally, it's going to be Summoner Monk into Dark... Well, you can go Summoner Monk into Dark Greffer. Dark Greffer then can activate his effect. By discarding 1 Dark, he can send, you know, Zephyros or whatever you need to send to the graveyard to make whatever you need to make for the right position. And also very easy to make Shockmaster. You know, the double Summoner Monk has, you know, always been there for the easy, quick first turn Shockmaster plays. And you can obviously just beat E-Dragons. You just call effects. You play against Spellbooks. You call spells. It's just a very good, you know, card to make against the tier 1 decks. Next up, 2 Malicious. There's should be pretty self-explanatory, but it is a card that you can discard with Greffer. 2 Bubblemen, 1 Elemental Hero Stratos, 3 Krebons, 1 Plague Spreader Zombie, 2 Summoner Monks, 2 Hero Lives, 3 Emergency Teleport. Your only target is Krebons. But, you know, if you wanted to, you could technically opt to play Psychic Commander, but Psychic Commander, keep in mind, is an Earth, and the point of this deck is kind of like a Dark variant, which is really cool. Next up, he's playing Heavy Storm, and you see, he doesn't even play Dark Hole, because he's going to be doing something else with their monsters. Next up, he's playing 2 Miracle Fusion, 1 Reborn, 1 regular Old School Polymerization. I'm so glad to see this card, see some play. Next up, 2 Prohibitions, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 2 Super Polymerizations, 2 Bottomless Trapple, 3 Eradicator Epidemic Virus. And you might be wondering, what is that target that he's going to be going for? Generally, it is going to be number 66, Master Key Beetle. That's why I mentioned it, that, you know, if you're interested in playing this deck in real life, you might gonna have to wait until this card comes out. I mean, you might be able to get away without it, but this card is definitely required because it's a quick rank 4 that you can make in this deck, and it allows you really fast access to this card because, as you guys know, Spellbook's pretty fast deck. You need it, you know, turn 1, and if you get this card out, you know, within 1 or 2 turns, and you call spells, and they don't have, like, game on board, you usually end up winning because you basically get to ruin their hand, or you can basically get 3 free turns to OTK them as hard as possible. And obviously with Hero Lives, you should be able to do that quite easy. Next up, 2 Imperial Iron Wall. This has E-Dragon hate. This also has Spellbook hate written all over it because they can't banish card for Fate, or they can't banish cards for High Priestess. This card is awesome, this format. And then he's got 1 Tech Anti-Spell Fragrance. More hate for them Spellbooks. This has like Spellbook hate written all over these 3 cards, but this is just even more Spellbook hate because you know, you can go ahead, you know, go first turn, go for whatever you need to go for, and then you set this card, and then you activate it as soon as their turn starts, and then your opponent is going to be very, very sad because at that point, you basically get 1 free turn to try to hit the Spellbook player as hard as possible. Because keep in mind that with a card like Spellbook of Fate, they do have to control a spellcaster. So Super Poly will work fantastic, so they can't really activate Fate if, you know, they don't have that spellcaster on board. And obviously, if they chain Spellbook of Fate as soon as you summon your monster, don't worry. If you're using Polymerization, Super Poly anyways, then it doesn't really matter. Next up, he's just playing the last 2 Solemns. As far as the extra deck, one thing I did want to mention, if you are interested in playing this deck, I highly recommend you to play Elemental Hero the Shining, just because, you do play Super Polymerization. If your opponent has a light monster, it just allows you to have that option. However, the guy that played this did not opt to play it. I think that it is much more optimal. Just try to squeeze it in there. Maybe perhaps remove a Blade Armor Ninja or Excalibur. I think both of these, they're pretty much OTK anyways. You don't really need both, but by all means, if you need both, you can go for it. But as far as the extra deck, he's playing 1-0, 1 Escorial, 1 Great Tornado, 1 Nova Master, 1 Colossal Fighter, 1 Void Ogre Dragon, Crimson Blader, Maestro Symphony Jin, Lavalval Chain, Excalibur, Blade Orb Ninja, Shockmaster, Gemini Pearl, number 66 Master Key Beetle, and Beast Lord of Vulcan. So these are the 2 cards that aren't out yet. You can get away with this deck, like I said, without Vulcan, but with main decking triple Eradicator Epidemic Virus, I highly recommend just waiting for this card to come out in order to make the deck much more viable. Sure, you can use Void Ogre Dragon or Colossal Fighter when you are going to be going for Eradicator, but generally the rank forces are a lot easier to make because, Summoner Monk, Bubbleman, you have Zephyros, you have Stress, search out the Bubblemans. It's just a lot easier to make rank 4s than going for a synchro play. However, yeah, technically you can go for synchro play quite easy if you happen to have Crebons or, just the right cards at the right moment. But yeah, very awesome deck, and I hope to see some of you guys play it, test it out, let me know what you guys think. I think I might test this out a little bit later, but I can already kind of tell how this deck plays. I've already played so many variants of heroes. And a Hero Lives is one of those decks where it's kind of like all in. You have like one turn to make a huge play, and you better be ready to OTK them. And it's great that he has Prohibition main deck, so in the off chance that they, play Trag, and most of the decks that are higher tier, they don't play Trag. Like, for example, Spellbooks and Elemental Dragons, most of them do not play Tragodia or Gores, but they do sometimes play Threatening Roars or Swift Scarecrows. Threatening Roar or Waboku will be seen in Spellbooks, and the Swift Scarecrow will be seen in the Elemental Dragon. So if you're playing against those decks, I hope that little tidbit of information helped you out, and you can battle those high tier decks against or you could be playing this low tier deck against a higher tier deck. I think this deck really does have some potential, but like I said, guys, if you guys are playing this deck, I would highly recommend you just to pick maybe Blade Armor Ninja or Excalibur and fit in Elemental Hero the Shining, because this card is very useful, especially if you're playing against some light decks and they have a big monster like Judgment Dragon, which you can't run over. It definitely does help out a lot. But anyways, hope this is a fun deck profile for you guys from the OCG land, because I love to see what they come up with heroes all the time. If you guys have any suggestions for this deck, I would definitely like to test it out. But I'm definitely going to fit Shining in myself. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this deck, or if you have any suggestions for it. I would like to try it out. This is not my personal build. This is the guy that got first place in OCG land. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes signing out.